But today we're going to do something different. We had a YouTuber actually respond to one of our videos, and we really appreciate him. His name is Philip Arm. He wrote us, asked us. We said, sure, great, go for it. He sent us the link. We watched it, and I wasn't initially, Lacey hasn't seen this yet, just FYI. But I watched it, and initially I was like, oh, we're not going to bother responding. But then it got, within a couple of minutes, it got kind of wild. And so I thought, okay, I'll watch the rest of it. And so I watched the rest of it. And he kind of inadvertently brings up a lot of stuff that Lacey and I have complained about for months. We just never have enough time because we only have enough time for our schedules to do one 90-minute show a week. That's all we got, because they take a lot of prep time too. It's not like, it takes at least 5 to 10 hours of research, depending on the episode, right? So for us, it's kind of like, wow. And so he brought up a lot of stuff that we have all this extra research we never get in because we're trying to keep it tight. But he brought up this stuff, so I thought, well, we'll just go over his video today because he inadvertently steps into a bunch of this stuff, right? That's all we're talking about. The thing we were focusing on this video is all we're talking about is this is an average need. It's all been baked into the cake. But then the guys on the Ramsey Show don't understand that. They think he's talking about an actual budget, and they're criticizing him on saying, well, you just need to cut things out of your budget. When they don't realize, no, this is a national average, right? These things are baked in the cake. You can't really criticize them. This is determined that they need these things, right? So that was the whole gag behind the clip, but they don't get that. Now, Phil's going to watch it, and Phil's going to fall into the same trap they do, where he doesn't understand that either. Right? And I don't think it's because he's stupid or anything. I think it's just because he doesn't know, just like them. Right? But we'll get into this, and I'll get into this a little bit more detail. But that's kind of the concept of what's happening. We're just making fun of the fact that they don't even know what they're looking at, and they're giving financial advice on it. That was the whole joke of the clip. Now this one is I think this one's a fun one. So it's another TikTok guy, but he's talking on living on $25 an hour.
Now, let me set this up very briefly, and we're going to pause it a few times. So stay with us. This is a very popular and viral TikTok, and this is a real sentiment. I want you to understand something. We're not about to show you this and destroy and criticize and belittle.
FYI, this is Ken Coleman on the left, and this is George Camel on the right.
The sentiment. We will take issue with some things, factually, but understand, and I want to set this up properly. There are millions and millions of Americans, George, who feel the way that this gentleman feels. So take this with a shaker of salt and understand this is why we do what we do here at Ramsey Solutions. Let's roll the video.
If you're making less than $25 an hour right now, you should be terrified. If you are making less than 25, you're going to be very pissed off by the time we get to the end of this video.
Hey,
So
that's
this
pause.
information here is going to scare you.
All right, pause. First of all, okay, what he just said there is not true. You'll be fine if you're making $25 an hour.
We don't go viral on TikTok without some fear mongering, Ken.
Boy.
Okay, just on record, right now I make $20 an hour at my day job. I have other sources of income. I'm doing perfectly fine. I'm still able to save money at the end of every month, so.
Well, okay, so great. I think that's great for Phil. But once again, Phil does not represent the average American. This is an average of Americans. This is.
And also, if you're adding, and I have other sources of income, that also makes you not necessarily represent somebody that has that wage. Because when you're saying, this is what my hourly wage is, isn't that generally speaking kind of assuming that that is one's only job or only source of income? It doesn't assume, this is my wage, but I have, this money that comes in from these other things.
Right.
It would kind of make your wage actually go higher, right? If you were going to actually math it out.
Right. And the other problem I have with this is, and a lot of people do this, is they start arguing from their perspective. And it's like, okay, so you're arguing from your specific perspective for everybody else. There are times when you can do that. It's called inductive reasoning. You can do I can oh, well, my hair grows, so I assume every human's hair grows. Right. That's probably fairly true, unless somebody's bald or something, right? They're, what is that, alopecia or whatever it is. But if I sit there and go, well, look, I'm 6 foot tall, so I assume every human being is 6 foot tall. Now it doesn't always work. You see what I'm saying? What we're talking about is what scientists actually do, which is what the living wage thing is, which is what we're talking about for figuring out the minimum, which is this is the average overall. And then we're looking at it also by regions when you small it out. But we're looking at that and going, okay, well, how does it compare to the average, right? So if it's $25 an hour is the average national living wage, and we're looking at a town where their regional living wage is 17, then they're below the national average. So that tells us something statistically, and it tells us something about where we should distribute welfare or not, right? Where we should distribute if they need more police, if there's a big unemployment problem, things like that. It's one tool in a bunch of tools to make decisions. That's all it is that he's talking about.